how do you even know who you are whenever your whole life you've been told who to be?
Being in front of this camera, I never expected to do this. I never expected to have like in-depth conversation with people, but man, playing and God laughs.
I'm like, well, wait a minute, Chase. If you keep getting the same result and end up with the same people, maybe you need to look at who you are.
Damn, Ron, come on! What's the matter with you?
Tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow.
All right, you guys, welcome to the Savage Mountain Podcast. I'm your host, Quan Mickel. Today's show is brought to you by NeoFit, Neo Life Physical Therapy and Wellness, and also Neo Golf. Get your short game up. I'm here with my pristine co-host, Bad Batchy Productions.
What's up, y'all?
here.
Hello,
And
welcome back.
I'm with a Diabreville OG, a multifaceted athlete that's covered a lot of ground, dominated in multiple realms, and currently is residing in a different scope, which is what is that? Dirty boxing. That's what we have.
Man, I'm just a slut for violence, bro.
My man.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm a free agent, man. So it's
A contract killer.
Pretty much, man. I like that better than a slut for violence. But yeah. I'm saying you pay me enough money, we're gonna fight.
My guy.
I just had a fight with Dirty Boxing. That's correct. But I do all facets of combat sports.
Yeah.
Whether it's bare knuckle, boxing.
Check.
I fought for BKFC. I've done Game Bread, which is also bare knuckle MMA. Obviously, I was in the UFC for 7 years. I've made my professional traditional boxing debut earlier this year. So, all facets of combat sports.
Yeah. And y'all, that's the voice of the Vanilla Gorilla himself. The Black Bandana Bandit, Chase Sherman.
C Murder.
Yes, indeed, C Murder. So, look, he speak on. We're gonna do a little bit of time traveling. I like to do, but he's speaking on his combat sport life. But I first laid eyes on this individual as a young ninth grade running back, and watch him damn near kill somebody. My first practice of varsity football, and I was like, "Yo, this is what Mississippi white boys look like." Like this is because I'm from Louisiana. At that point, I've been in Mississippi enough, but I still I've never seen big people move that fast, that violently on the offensive line. But at the time, he was playing both sides of the balls. That's more of an archaic dinosaur era now, and that doesn't happen as much. But yeah, man, see Chase Sherman go from, and you don't necessarily consider offensive linemen as athletes, but he was an athlete that just so happened to play offensive line.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
And speaking of that, with you being a former offensive lineman, would you say that helped? Would you transition with being as physical going into combat sports, or did you have to learn the ways of the mixed martial art world?
I think that just like anything, you take away something, and you know what I mean, and it kind of equates to another thing if you kind of break it down and look at it to different perspectives of. And so, you take the stance of the staggered stance of a lineman.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And the foot placement of it, and it's very similar to your fight stance. And then obviously, fighting is very much so about footwork and balance, and just speaking on the feet and. As you're an offensive lineman, you got to have good footwork. You got to have solid feet. You've got to have. You can never, crossing your feet up, having a narrow base, having getting thrown off balance. Those are just poor characteristics of someone that wants to be a lineman. And so moving into the fight realm, I already kind of had an advantage there. And when you talk to any good boxers. And the fundamentals of boxing, it's all small, tiny steps, replacing your footwork. You know what I mean? It's not these big steps and then replacing and getting your feet crossed over and having a narrow base. So, and on offensive line, it's the same way. And when sorry, I can clear my throat.
No, you good, man.
So that aspect of it was one aspect that really kind of helped. The footwork, the shuffling, things of that nature. Obviously, the tenacity that you have to have and being a lineman also equated to fighting.
Yeah.
Being just tough and nasty. But where I feel like it really was a big help going from football to fighting.
Yeah.
Also was, especially with MMA, was the hand placement and the cage work, and then defending takedowns. Because essentially somebody's trying to take you down in fighting. They're trying to get to your hips and get your legs. Whereas an offensive lineman, we're taught to, especially in the pass pro game, we're kicking backwards. You know what I mean? And you have a guy that's usually more athletic. You know what I mean?
The most athletic. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Defense. And I played on the left side. I was left tackle, so I was always going up against the best defensive ends to protect the blind side. But you're backpedaling, man. You got somebody that's 250 plus pounds, probably running like a 4.8 40, running forwards at you, and so you have to figure out a way how to stop that person from putting you on your back.
Yeah.
And so that all equated to defending takedowns, and then the hand placement. When you're an offensive lineman, reworking the hands back to the inside.
Yeah.
All that equated to cage work. Somebody has you up against the cage and they're trying to take you down and flatten you out, and working to get the hands inside. Old weights, man. Old weights. You remember old weights?
Yeah, bro. Rest in peace, old weights, man.
He was our offensive line coach in high school, man, and he was kind of old school with his blocking methods. And remember the forearm? He always used to make his block come off the line instead of shooting the hands. And bro, I was tied in the UFC for most standing elbow finishes in the entire. You know what I mean? Like, granted, it was only 3 that I got, but that's how rare. John Jones was the other guy that had more than I did, and but those are the little fundamentals and key takeaways that I. From a sport that I played my entire life that I could transition into fighting. But when I got into fighting, there was a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, because being an offensive lineman, man, it was really a selfless position, and for me, I always liked making plays. I wanted to make. I love playing D-line, bro. All my accolades in high school were, from being on the D-line, I was defensive end. And so whenever they, I got to college and it was like, we want to put you on offensive line, I was just like, ugh. And so it is, when you look at it like offensive lineman, it's pretty much a 7-second, because that's the average time of a play, grappling match. You know what I mean? Sumo match. It's like, I'm trying to take you against your will and drive you over here. And so when I got into MMA, I was just like, man, I don't want to do this grappling stuff. You know what I mean? I want to be able to show my skill set as an athlete. I want to be able to be slick and be quick on my feet and move and bob and weave and do all those things. And so really took it to a passion for striking whenever I became a fighter.
So Not to cut you off, man. But so what a good old country boy from D'Iberville, Mississippi, end up in this sport where it's like where you're the minority, that is boxing, having a love for that. Because I mean, like bar fights and stuff like that, and fighting in high school here and there, what made you lean toward what, I actually want to be, I want to be a boxer in a sport that's very event based, because it's not going to be the leading thing that's on Sports Center like football, baseball,
Yeah.
Boxing is an event based, and other than that, nobody's following the day to day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so, first it was really, so I've always had a passion for boxing, man. Just the history and the culture of it and just the art of it, man. It's
There we go.
beautiful.
Come on. Talk to me, Chase.
It's a beautiful sport, man. And but really you know as well as I do, being around here, the resources are kind of limited. And when MMA and the UFC really came along, that pretty much wiped out any sort of boxing around here.
Yeah.
Which little of it there was, which is really kind of sad because boxing derived here on the Mississippi coast. The first belt that ever fought for bare knuckle title was right there in Gulfport. But and so the history and I just always thought it was smooth. And then, when we grew up, man, when we get into these fights, and altercations, as well as I do, it's like when two people squared up in the courtyard or, right there behind, Winn-Dixie or Taco Bell, whatever. If it went to the ground, it was getting stood back up.
It was getting stood back up.
And
Yeah.
you had to fight on your feet like a man, you know what I mean? And that's the way I always looked at like the grappling aspect of it. But I mean, honestly, the wrestling and groundwork and grappling is once you learn the sport, you realize that you got to be a dog. You got to really be a dog. You know what I mean? But I really love the essence and the beauty and the movement and the fluidity of boxing.
Yeah.
And so that's really kind of where that took off with that. And I don't know, man. I just thought it was really, when I got done playing football, man, I was just in a place where it's like, well, I don't really have the genetics to go play offensive line in the league. It's just not, I'm not big enough. Those are the biggest humans on earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're talking about overall size, you got basketball players are obviously going to be taller, but you're talking about, these dudes are earth movers.
Yeah.
Their hands are like, and people will say is like, oh, you don't think of offensive lineman being an athletic position, but it's like, okay, these guys can't obviously do backflips and cartwheels, but you got guys that are 6'7", 300 plus pounds and running 4.5s now, 4.6, 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely insane. And you've got guys that are, like I said earlier, it's like on pass pro stuff. I'm backpedaling, I'm kicking backwards, and I have to stop this guy that's more athletic than me, has way more options as far as what he's going to do, if he's going to go from a speed to a bull to inside rip to, swim move, whatever. It doesn't matter, and I have to make a decision, split, you know what I mean?
Split like
moving.
that.
And so for me, it's like, I feel like those guys are.
They are
super
athletes.
You
They're
know what I mean?
athletes.
It's super athletes because it's like you cut 150 pounds off this guy. You know what I mean? Like imagine what he could do then. But so when I got done playing ball, I just realized that I wasn't going to be able to do that just because my genetic prowess wasn't. I'm not there. But so I was like, what else can I do? And I was like, man, well, I've always been able to kind of take a punch. So let's try that, And there was a couple guys training locally up in the Delta because that's where I played ball at Delta State University.
Yeah.
And they were amateur fighters, and they was just like, yeah, man, you come out and train with us some. And it was just in a little garage. And the training pretty much consisted of putting on gloves and just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one of those guys happened to be a teammate of mine now, still to this day, Tyler Hill. You know what I mean? I convinced him eventually to move down here when I moved down here. And
oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. I did not know that,
Tyler.
bro.
Yeah, Tyler's from the Delta, man. And I originally met him up at Delta State University. And when I moved back home and finished college at Southern with you, I was like, yeah, man, I'm training with Alan. You can come down and train with us. And he came down to train and decided he was going to move down here and brought his whole family. And then, and what's ironic, man, is a couple months ago, I was at the gym and we was chopping it up, and this gentleman came up to me and he started talking to me, and he's like, "You don't remember me, huh?" And I was like, "Oh man, you know, I'm, you know, not really."
Yeah.
I hate when people ask me that. By the way, that's why I don't even go out a lot of times. And people like, "Yeah, you remember me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember you." And they're like, "What's my name?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, bro, like, you know what I mean? Like, because you feel like I can only remember so much. You know what I mean? That's when I just blame it on, like, you know, early onset CT or something. But
Like, oh,
the guy's like, "You don't remember me, huh?" And I was like, "Man, I'm sorry, yeah." You know, I was
Bro.
like, he was like, "I'm see, I can't remember his name now. His last name is Del Jose." And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "You used to train whenever you first started training in my garage. That was my garage up in the Delta." And he was like, "We just moved down here, me and my son. My son fights now. His son's growing up now. His son's undefeated. You know what I mean? He's a stud." And I was just like, wow, that's wild. You know, kind of thinking about it, is like his backyard essentially was where I first started training. You know what I mean? And now he's, you know, fast forward 10, 15 years later, he's down on the coast with his son, getting him trained. And it's just kind of cool how that kind of goes full circle. And I was just like, man, that's wild, because I've always wanted to go back up there to the Delta and kind of revisit and pay homage where I kind of first put on a set of gloves.
Yeah, where it started, right?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Now that's awesome. One thing, he ain't lying about like people randomly like popping up on him. Me and I had the pleasure of doing Mardi Gras with Chase this year, and I don't go out as much as I used to. So like this, we're just sitting there, and Chase is like he kind of chill. He just sticks to his person. And man, about 2 or 3 dudes, like, man, I remember like just like fanboy, and I'm like, damn, dude, like what the hell is this going on, bro? You just sitting here, you're like, bro, it happens all the time, bro. Just like, all right, chill. I think I remember him. He was like, the guy just like offering free drinks and stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell? He was, I think I remember him. I'm like, you think you do? I think I remember this guy, bro. Let me get a free drink, bro.
And that's why I really go, since I moved back home, bro, it's like I really kind of got you know, a little bit of social anxiety.
Yeah.
Just moving back home to a smaller town, you know, I was down in South Florida for 4 years training, whereas there is like, you know, I'm big city, South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. I'm a fly on the wall, bro.
Hell yeah, you
and
are.
So it was nice, man, because it's like I could go out and I could just be myself and not have to worry about, you know, this person knowing me and this person saying this, or this person, you know what I mean? And when I moved back home, you know, I'm not by no means consider myself, you know, some sort of celebrity or whatever but people, we're in a small town, you know? And so I would go out and it's just like, I'd be like having this feeling of kind of anxiety, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people can either, you know, be super kind and, you know, which is great, you know, it's always, I love my fans, I love where I grew up and stuff, but then also you have people that know you, that you know, I might not know them, you know what I'm saying?
They know your name.
Yeah, and like, yeah, exactly. And so like they can be, you know what I mean, for clout, you know, throwing shade, or you know how people are, you know what I'm saying? So just kind of like, I try to stay in my little circle, in my realm, and you know, because you know, in a sense, it's like I don't want to live in a glass house, and you know, I'm gonna keep my business, and you know, but I always, you know, I love where I'm from. Don't get me wrong. It's just like I noticed that about myself. It's like I'm become more of a homebody, you know, and trying to keep, you know, because there's a culture, you know, that around here in a way that's like, I listen to conversations and things that are said, and it's just like a lot of people, things they talk about aren't things that I really want to talk about. And it usually consists of other people and their business. Yeah. And it's like gossip, and it's like, you know, and it's just like, when did we go from discussing ideas and concepts and dreams and visions and things we want to accomplish and turned it into talking about other people and negatively. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
commisery loves company, man.
And, bro, and the thing is like, it's this thing. It's just like people, in a way, people believe is like me discussing other people's flaws or other people's mistakes helps lift the burden and make me feel better about you know the where I lack, you know, where I've done wrong, you know what I mean, or my life, how my life has turned out.
Yeah. And
that's just really, that's never gonna get you anywhere, man. And it's not, and it's just not good for the soul. And so
no, it's a crab in a bucket mentality, man. And you did hint that. I mean, actually, like, you hint on something that kind of inspired me to, that really, we've had many a conversations, man. You have so much depth that I feel like you don't get the chance to speak on because people do see you, Chase, first, and then it's like, I've seen like you, not necessarily in a battle, but it's like, man, hold on, I got so much more to offer than just these damn hands. You know what I'm saying? I have a mind. I have thoughts. I have dreams. I have concepts, man. Like, I can speak about these things in a very like intellectual way, in a manner, but people only know the sport. And
well, they don't mean for what I've, you know what I mean? And that's another thing. Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is like, I came back home and a lot of people were like, man, hey, you changed, blah blah blah, and this and that. And I was like, yeah. Well, yeah, I have changed, man.
It's called evolution.
It's trying to grow. You know what I mean? And really, a lot of times you have to venture out from where you're from. You know what I mean? In order for the veil to be lifted, and you have to go be alone and not isolate yourself, but really kind of figure out who you are. That's the only way you're going to figure out who you are, is being by yourself. Because it's like, how do you even know who you are whenever your whole life you've been told who to be? You know what I mean? It's like you think like, oh no, I don't. I'm my own person. I'm nobody tells me who to be. I'm like, okay, well then who are you? Yeah. And people be like,
they say their name.
Yeah.
You got
where's
given
your
that
values?
name.
Where's your character? Where's your morals? Where is your integrity? What is important to you, and who are you? You know what I mean?
Preacher
and
Sherman,
that's just the way. That's the way it is, man. And that's nobody. The culture is going to always kind of raise you into, you know what I mean, developing the person who you are. And so a lot of times it's like you have to break free from that in order to become yourself. And that's how, you know, that time period I spent in Florida really kind of in sitting by myself and always reflecting and kind of coming through these different perspectives, and is how, you know, I became the person who you see now. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, man. It's like the persona of like who I am in the eyes of the community.
But we don't want you to do that, Chase. Yeah. We want you to beat people up.
Yeah, we want you to like the laughing silly.
We want you to be good. We want our Chase goofy and rah rah rah.
And
we don't want
I'm
this.
Still that person, man. I really am. But at the same time, I've also had to, you know, I've also realized that I've had to kind of change that ideology and mentality a little bit, because it's great to be around, but a lot of times too, it doesn't garner the respect and like people taking, you know, me seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's just kind of this balance I've tried to find with, you know what I mean, who I am. And other times too, it's like, man, sometimes I'm like, man, I need to lighten up, man. You know, not everything has to have this deep, esoteric fucking meaning where you have to break it down, and everything's a balance, man, because I can get like that, you know, being alone by myself, you know what I mean? I can the mind will just dive too deeply into things and try to break down everything in this complex sort of way, and there's beauty and simplicity, you know what I mean? Sometimes it don't have to be complex, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of where I'm at. And I always listen, there's this, you know, there's a saying, there's like, Alan Watts, we just talked about him earlier before we got on the show, he's like you can't outthink the thinking mind, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta learn to let thoughts just kind of pass by, you know?
Man. You have the sense of discovery. And I think that's lost on a lot of people now, where they're not willing to go down that path of like figuring out like who they are. Like you said, like most people, if you ask them who you are, that say their name. Like, no, you was given that name. Like, that's not, and that's not who you are. But no, man, I love that you've been on this venture of self-discovery and being diligent, doing your due diligence about you and being very aware. Because again, like I say that in jest when I say, no, we want our Chase to be, we want you to beat up people and stuff like that. I had to do the same thing. Like as far as like what I'm doing, like being in front of this camera, I never expected to do this. I never expected to like have like in-depth conversation with people, but man, playing and God laughs, you know, like I think you're continuing to find purpose. And that passion is there, but with that purpose that you're continuously on the path of discovering, man, come on, man, you'll be unstoppable, dude.
Yeah, and that's
like,
the thing, man. It's like, you know, and the people talk to me all the time. It's like, hey, when are you going to be done fighting, blah, 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 this and that. And it's just like, when I'm done, I'm done. It's like, the thing is I was listening to this guy talking, he was talking about, there's this kind of this philosophical viewpoint of finding your purpose. And he was, you know, I forget who made I don't know if it was, I can't remember, but the quote was basically is like, how do you know you're on the right path? And you know you're on the right path when the path disappears. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
When you're so entrenched in following your heart that's really don't really know where it's leading. You're just being led by your intuition, and you know that like if something is placed in your heart and you're following it, then that has to, and you don't know where it come from. That's God, you know what I mean? And so it's just like when you follow your dreams, when you follow, you know, your passions, that's where you find your purpose. And you may not really know where that path is leading. You just know it's where you're supposed to be.
It's where you're supposed to be, man.
And so when, you know, what's the plan? Like, you know, the plan is to still fight, not because I need, you know, the attention, or I need the clout, or I need to be seen or whatever. It's because that's what's in my heart. And I know that if I continue this, then maybe I'll garner a platform large enough to impact, you know, a good bit of people and maybe change, you know, the culture and the community that I'm in, you know what I mean? And so, you know, that's really the goal.
Yeah.
And
not again, sorry to cut you
No,
off,
go ahead, bro.
but you're hitting on the good stuff as far as like coming back home and being very like domestic in a sense where like you're very proud of where you're from. I can name 3 people, and you're one of them. Whenever they speak on any kind of like relevancy or status or any successes they've garnered, you're like, nah, Mississippi, where I'm born and raised. That's David Banner. And that's Big Crit.
Yep.
And you.
Yep.
And it's like you wouldn't put those 3 together. Well, you put 2 together, not you. But it's just for the simple fact that you are, you're an athlete. They're not necessarily athletes. You know, they're artists. But you're an artist yourself. You're an artist yourself, because like now this is gonna allow me to lean into what made you on this path of discovery. Was music, your passion for music, something that you found? Like, did you always have this, or was this? Tell me about the journey that is the musician.
Okay. Yeah, the artist. The artist. So that's the thing. So and I was just talking to one of my girlfriends last night, and
He said one of them.
one of my girl, my she's a friend. Is a girl.
Okay.
And I was talking to her. One of my friends is. I was talking to her last night and about this exact thing, and the thing is, man, is fighting. When you break down fighting, it is it's the oldest, most natural, primal expression of masculine art. It's the thing that you can't, bro. And that's the thing is like, I tell people is like, why are you fighting? I was like, because it's honest. And so, you know, you can't, when you in there, you can't lie to your opponent, you can't lie to the fans, and you can't lie to yourself. And the truth is always going to be told. whether you want to hear that truth or not. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be revealed, and there's something refreshing about the truth, especially when it's so rare in the society that we live in today.
So you like beating lies out of motherfuckers?
I just like revealing the truth to myself, really. Like you know what I mean? And if you watch me fight, because my career's been a lot like this, man. And, you know, and I have, you know, the athletic ability for it to been, you know, more so like this. But there's something like, it didn't matter how hard I trained. You know what I mean? There's been times where I've been in 8-week camps with some of the best fighters in the world and just busted my ass and stayed super diligent to the plan. There's been times where I've taken a fight like on, you know, a couple weeks notice and, you know, go out there and dog walk somebody, and then the latter, you know what I mean, where I've trained for a fight and gotten beat. But really when it always turns back into is like my internal environment, and my internal, what's going on inside is always going to be displayed on the exterior in that ring. You know what I mean? If you watch my fights, you know, and that's art in itself. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth. It's taking what's in your heart and creating it for others to see and to feel. And so really, I wouldn't even consider myself. I mean, I consider myself a fighter, but an artist more so. And so that derives into the music. I fell in love with trying to make music and create music and do those things because there's just another expression of art, just as, you know, writing or drawing or you know what I mean? Because to me, when you think about it, it's what art is a divine connection to the source, to God. You know what I mean? Because you're creating. Yeah. You're doing something. When you're doing art, when you're fighting, or you're in a state of flow. You're a state of flow, and you are creating. And creation is the creator. It's the essence of why we're here. You know what I mean? There would not this would exist if it wasn't for the act of creation. And so, like, it's so important for people to understand this is like to learn how to express yourself. Yeah. In ways where, you know, not others don't have to see it, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be displayed, but for yourself to see it, for yourself to realize it. Yeah. You know? And I feel like that's part of keeping your you know, that essence of keeping your dream alive and that thing that's in your heart, and you know what I mean, being able to do that, because that's, you know, that's where you're gonna find your you know, your purpose is through creations, through arts, through expressing yourself. Is through, because if you don't, then what are you doing? You're suppressing it. You're suppressing it. And psychology tells us if anything that we suppress is going to always come out in uglier ways, man.
But that's sometimes people don't feel like they're good enough. Like, you an outlier. Like, I don't want you to diminish the ability to confidently express yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, not a lot of people, we are, and both of us come from a team sport. And now you successfully transition from a team sport to an individual sport. We come from an era where it's like, when you score, act like you've been there before. Like, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's a team. And that suppresses the individual to the ability to create. A creative expression is almost an individual act. You know? So it's like, we have to, I think of as the new era, or the leaders of the new school, in a sense, even though we're the middle child now, because there's a younger generation below us, is that we have to learn to champion the individual, to allow that creative expression to exist confidently, instead of like how we had to fight against it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, like, I can still be team oriented, but I'm still me. You know? You know, and I think that's like what, on this path in which that you're on here, do you ever think, like, eventually when it comes to a point where you stop, not fighting for life, not stop for fighting, but do you ever think you ever want to go into coaching?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, dude, I love coaching, man. And that's the thing is like, that's what we went to school for. We got the same degree, you know, and so, and that's how I am with my kids, man. I try to, from the day one, It's like, I'll get in their head. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to change the world, man. Like, what is it you want to, and I asked my son this the other day. He was like, where's your dreams, man? What do you want to do? And it was kind of, it was demoralizing a little bit. Not demoralized, that's the wrong word. It was kind of, I was in a way, I was just like, he didn't have an answer for me. He was like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe, think about it someday. Not that he's a kid, so he's always in the present moment. He's got what's going on now, maybe. But whenever I was a kid too, it was just like, man, I just had this. I was a dreamer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I kind of kept that mentality throughout, my life. And I think it's important to really kind of kindle that fire in people, And if I can inspire people to chase their dreams, if I can inspire people to think outside the box and not have to be, you know what I mean, like feel like they have to, live inside of this kind of the rule set of society.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like then you get to really find your purpose and change the world in a way that, for the better. Coaching is a way of doing that. You know what I mean? It's a way of giving back, and it's a way of giving to a younger generation in a way that wasn't given to you. You could take all the things that you wish you had been given and really kind of pour that into someone else. It's just really important though with coaching to not end up living vicariously through you know what I mean, forcing someone to if you could just do this, because if I would have done this, and you can't do that.
Nah.
You kind of have to let them find themselves. But I believe though that it's like if people chase their dreams and people follow what was in their heart, the world would be a little bit of a better place, and they would be a lot happier now. But doing it in a selfless way. Obviously, we all have responsibilities. We all have things that life demands on us. So, but don't ever let that inner child in you, die.
Yeah. No, that's my pastor, man. I had my pastor had the word and the word of the day, and he said that aging is inevitable. But growing is optional and intentional. And you steady kept keying on that word of growth, of growing. And it's very intentional because, again, on your self-discovery, you always wanting to grow. And in a place of here, that could stick out like a sore thumb. Exactly. And that doesn't look like what people are accustomed to,
Yeah.
And you could be dubbed as weird or... he's snobby. I'm like,
that's another reason why I try to stay inside, bro.
I'm growing, man.
And people don't. And a lot of times, especially around here, they take offense to it. You know what I'm saying? They take offense. Oh, you think you're better than us, or you think this and that because you want to. No, I don't think anything. But but what I do know is like, I'm never gonna allow somebody else to dictate how I live my life. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't got to live it like I live it. That's fine. But here's the thing is like, it's my life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to live it how I want to live it. And you, and you're welcome to live your life how you want to live it. But, I'm not going to take advice from, I'm not going to, take life advice from somebody that is miserable with themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't tell me what I need to do and do this whenever you literally you don't enjoy the life that you live. You know what I'm saying? It's like I never really understood the concept of, okay, you are here for one experience. You're here for one. You get one opportunity at this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll be damned if I'm gonna be on my deathbed living with regret that I didn't do this or I didn't do that, or if I didn't, you know what I mean? Because I don't think there's ever been somebody, that's on their deathbed going, damn, I really wish I would have worked that 8 to 5 job, 40, 50 hours a week. I really wish I would have, you know what I mean? Drove myself into the ground and, lived a life of mediocrity and complacency because it felt safe, because that's what people told me to do, And don't get me wrong, like, bro, chasing your dreams is not all sunshine and rainbows and partying and get girls and money and all that thing. It's not. Bro. It is fucking hard and it is scary and it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when you're on that path and the path disappears, you just like, what now? What now? But that's where your faith kicks in. You know what I'm saying? That's where. That's where you kind of find. That's where you find God, and that's where, you have faith in, the path that you're going. That someone else is walking there beside you. That's leading you. Like, just trusting the process and enjoying the process, man. Because so often we look at the goal, the end result. It's like, I need to get here. I need to get here, and I'm guilty of this myself. If I can just get here, I'll be good. If I can just, you know what I mean. And I look back and a lot of times throughout my career in my life, and it's like, damn, I wish I would have stopped for a second and really just kind of enjoyed the process and appreciated the process. And it's not really about what you accomplish. Just in that journey, it's about who you're becoming. You know what I mean? And fighting has, helped me become somebody that it's kept me disciplined. It's kept me in shape. It's kept me humble. It's given me an outlet to move and express the things that are within me. You know what I mean? And it's that's why, like, you know what I mean. You look at the Eastern culture. Like like the Shaolin monks and the samurais and martial arts in that aspect is like that's what they do. It's like they clean, they garden, and they do martial arts every day because it's like they know that's within us as men. We there is an animalistic, almost primal urge to be combative, not necessarily in a way to hurt other people, but obviously you have to be able to, protect yours, protect your family, and so in a lot of ways, society has neutered us, cut us off from that, and a lot of men don't get that opportunity to express it or move that energy or have that outlet. You know what I mean? And what happens? It comes out in uglier ways, and so like you have a lot of people that are inflict violence on each other, or a lot of people that are walking around with anger, or a lot of people that are with bitterness, or just have this rage inside them, and they take it out maybe on the wrong people, whether it's their spouse or their kids or whoever, the friends, and really you're around the fighters a good bit, and it's like we're usually pretty most calm, chill ones, and that's because we have that outlet. You don't have to go compete. You don't have to do that, but you can, like, my bad. You can go to the, gym and learn how to box. You can, you know what I mean? Yeah. And those are healthy ways of expressing that self and relieving that internal, conflict that we have that we're born with. You know what I'm saying?
It's in us. Do you not to go too far off, but we are going to pivot.
Okay, cool.
The pivot that I want to do is I want to backtrack a little bit. I want to go back to football.
Okay.
And this is just something that was just on my heart. The 2017. Is that the best team to never win a state title in D'Iberville?
Man, I feel like I haven't been able to. So I haven't been
based
able
off
to
what you see.
Yeah. So after college, I really haven't been able to keep up with who's came through D'Iberville and everything, and especially since being gone, Florida. But man, there was so much talent on that team. You know what I mean? And a lot of people will say even more talent than the team that won state.
We're poking it back a little bit.
Lock the door so Rob don't come in here. but you know, we go back to the coaching aspect of a lot of things, and even with the players, you know, too. But there was too many, you know. You see it in coaching a lot where these egos get involved, and it's like they're going to try to take a block, and they're going to try to constantly fit that block into a square, a circular hole. You know what I'm saying? Instead of a good coach, and I think any good coach can pivot the way that they coach and adapt their coaching methodology into what they have there, especially on a high school level where you can't draft or sign players or give them a scholarship. You have to take what's given to you and learn how to create something around that. And when you have the skill set and athleticism and the quantity of players that we had on that team, and you try to force it into this ideology and method of coaching, that it's just like, man, you're not really seeing the bigger picture here. It's like, you know, it's like, you know, they say is a fool won't listen to a wise man, but a wise man will listen to a fool. It's like you can always take something from somebody. And a lot of times, even especially in the fight world, man, even more so in the fight world, it's like you got to be able to step back, and if you're a good coach, and be able to be willing to adapt and give up, you know, certain aspects of what you think is going to work, and you know what I mean, just for the betterment of, you know, of the whole. And I really think we had so many weapons that weren't just utilized because of the play calling was just built for the system was built around, you know what I mean?
Yesteryear.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, bro, like, rest in peace. Oh wait, so it's like, there's no reason we should have been blocking with forearms in 2007. Like, bro, this is it. You know what I mean? Got us out there, like, you know, like we had I think on the offensive line, we had let's see, you know, I think just on the offensive lineman we had like 3 or 4 guys go play, you know,
at the next level,
like you know what I mean, university level, like 2 of them in one of them in the SEC and then another one in a major Division I university. And then on the D line, all 3 of us, you know, it was me and Titus and Dylan Holly, you know, all 3. You know, Titus had offers from Alabama. Dylan went and played at, you know, Mississippi State. And I went and played at Delta State, and you know, and then we just had so much talent, man. And then too is like, I don't know, man. I the passion there for the players was there, man. I feel like, you know, we had guys that really wanted to go to the next level, but we also had some cats that were, you know what I mean, they weren't about like, the team in some ways when it came down to, you know, nitty gritty. And, you know, but that's the past, man, and that's where it is. But there was a really good group of guys, man. We had some talent, man. And I tell people all the time, it's like, they're like, do you miss football? And I'm like, man, I would give up everything that I've accomplished today just to go back and play one more season with those group of guys, because they weren't lying, man. It's like it's the best time of your life, you know what I mean? And you know, I've gotten to do some pretty amazing things in my career, but nothing really compares to Friday nights being around your friends that you grew up with, and like. And strapping on the helmet and the cleats and getting ready to go out there and perform in front of your community. It's just something about it. It's like it's in the air, bro.
Yeah.
It's like anytime I walk into a sweaty locker room, or you know what I mean. It's just like some of those nights you walk outside and it's just kind of that early fall, the crisp, cool air. You know what I mean? And it's just like. You can smell it, you can feel it, you know what I mean? You know, driving by the stadium, you see the lights on or something, it's just like, man, damn, what a blessing, because we didn't have no problems then. We didn't have no worries. We was kids, man. All we cared about was that. You know what I mean? And that's how it was when we growing up football. The tradition you hear about as a kid growing up before you get to high school is like, Yarraville was known for, you know, 2 things all you ever heard about was, you know, who not to mess with, who was the best, you know, fighters in the school and football. And that was it. You know what I mean? And when I got to high school, I was like, I want to be good at both of those things. I want to be, you know what I mean? I want to, you know, and so, especially when I had my growth spurt, man. When I had my growth spurt, I went from, you know, I was a little short, fat kid, and I had my growth spurt, and I sprouted up into my junior year, man. And I'm, you know what I mean? I went from, I think, like in one summer, I went from like 5'11" to like almost 6'2" over one summer, you know?
Oh, bro, you couldn't tell him nothing, bro.
Oh, bro, I know. I told mom and dad, man, you washing the dishes now. You know? no, but I made it a point. At that point, I was like, because I dealt with, you know what I mean, some things in my life, you know, even in getting bullied or whatever, and you know what I mean. I dealt, when I had my growth spurt, I was just like, nobody's ever gonna disrespect me again, and nobody's ever gonna put their hands on me again, not have consequences for it. And that's just the mentality that I had all the way up through martial arts.
I was gonna say, careers. Dude, it's funny you say that. You, it's kind of like not as much now, and I know we're about to get close. We're about to wrap it up.
Oh,
but
I can do this all day, bro. We gotta leave.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. But it's like we find ourselves. You said that, and then now we still have that way of like, man, I still in a prove it state where I have to prove to people like I'm so much more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not finna like your preconceived notions. You're not about to put me in this category.
Yeah.
Not about to put me in this box, man. I'm so much more than this. How long do you think you could sustain that prove-it mentality, prove them wrong instead of opposed to prove others right?
Yeah, and that's a big thing with me, man, is that I've realized over the year, because you have two different types of athletes. You have positively reinforced athletes, and you have negatively reinforced athletes, and me. Coming from where I come from, and my even my home life and things like that, it's like I always carried around this chip on my shoulder.
Yeah,
and I was always a negatively reinforced athlete. If you told me I couldn't do something, or if you doubted me, or if you thought this or you thought that, then you were about to get proven wrong.
There we go.
And emotional energies, things like anger. Things like, even fear. Things like, the negative things, basically, is what was my motivating force. But after a while, it becomes depleting, and it becomes exhausting. And having to wake up every morning and go to training and do these things and be motivated by negative emotions, it wears on you. And positively reinforced athletes, you know what I'm saying? For me, it was just like, if you were like, hey, I'm depending on you, you're the best, or you're this and that, now I feel more pressure to perform, you know what I'm saying? And so like, but what happened is, what I realized is like, man, I can't sustain a healthy career or lifestyle or whatever living in that realm. And in a lot of ways, I was self-sabotaging myself throughout life just to have my back against the wall.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Making things harder for myself when I didn't have to, you know? And so now it's like I try to move with more emotions of like love and passion and, joy and peace. And I try to use those things to kind of motivate me. And really, I'm still trying to, as I'm figuring myself out daily, you know what I mean? Because it's a constant journey. We're always ever changing. Once you think you got this shit figured out, you don't.
Yeah.
You know? I'm trying to realize what I'm doing subconsciously to sabotage my life and changing those aspects of me. You know, because consciously it's like I'm motivated by the things that make me happy.
Yeah.
But my brain's been wired for chaos in a lot of ways. And so it's just like I got to learn how to get out of my own way, you know, in some ways. But figuring that out, it's a subconscious thing. So it's like really kind of digging deep and diving into like yourself and understanding yourself and how you keep repeating certain patterns in your life and why you keep repeating these certain patterns. That's a journey in itself, man. And you know, a lot of it had stemmed from, you know, like relationships. And I was like, man, why do I keep ending up in these types of relationships with these, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, and I always wanted to be like, put the blame on them, on somebody else. It's like you, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, Chase. If you keep getting the same result and end up with the same people, maybe you need to look at who you are. You know, maybe you need to look at the things you're doing and why it is that you end up choosing these types of people and why it is that you end up getting the same results. And that's something I'm constantly always working on, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's the human psyche it's a funny thing, man. It's really, you have to be, whenever I realized I needed to be more disciplined in my spiritual and the mental aspects and emotional aspects of my life outside of just the physical, because we get the physical down pat, we're disciplined, that we're working out, we're doing this, we're eating this, we're, you know what I mean? But you have to add in the other, you know, the other two is your relationship with God, and then, you know, the relationship with your internal self, and figuring those things out, man, because I see a lot of people, you know, constantly pointing the finger, you know, and they refuse to stand in front of the mirror and really kind of see who they are.
Yeah.
And but like everything, there's balance in everything, and so like for me, understanding that, you know, I need to hold myself accountable for the things that you know I do, but also need to have balance and understanding that, like, sometimes, you know, it ain't me. And if you constantly point the finger back at yourself, you know what I'm saying, take the blame for everything, then you become easy to manipulate and you become easy to take advantage of, and you can. So it's just this balance, man. It's a balance of setting boundaries and walls and sticking to them and holding firm in your character and your morals and the things that you stand for. And you know, a lot of people will talk and stand on this hill, bro, but whenever push comes to shove and hit adversity, that mountain becomes a pebble. You know what I mean? And the things you're talking about that you stand for, when push comes to shove and you get tested, it's like you fold. People fold. And it's like, nah, man, where was this? You know, like,
where's that energy?
Yeah. We just talking about this and that. You know what I mean? And now you act in a different type of way, man. So it's like for me, I always kind of speak with my heart on my sleeve, and I try to speak, you know, the truth. Yeah. And but at the same time, in today's age, it's like you got to be careful with that, you know. And and we've talked about this before. It's like I need to like a lot of times have more discernment and be a little bit more wise in the way that the conversations that I have and who I'm having them with.
Spiritual discernment, man.
Yeah.
You are very nuanced. So in a world of black and white, you are firmly painted red. So to conclude things, if there is any young aspiring artist, and that could depict a multitude of things, what is there? Is there anything you could tell them to inspire them to like keep going, or whatever the case may be? You looking at camera right there. Talk to him.
Oh, okay. Well, man, so my thing is really first of all, it's especially for men or young men and boys, it's like, don't be afraid to venture off from the beaten path and figure out who you are. That's the first thing, is you need to figure out who you are. You know what I mean? And from there is where you're going to figure out who you want to become. You know what I mean? And where you want to go in order to find your passion. You know what I mean? Really kind of figure out what it is that you're passionate about, you know? And then to follow that. feverishly. And then don't ever let the inner child die, man. You got to integrate both the man and the boy. You know what I'm saying? It's because like you can't go throughout life being a child the whole time, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you have to have that curiosity, that passion for adventure. You know what I mean? And the drive to go towards the things that you love, or you'll die. You'll die way before you ever bury you, bro. And you see it all the time with men. And it's like, you know, they buried at 70, 80, but they died whenever they was 30. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just like you've been going through the motions of life because that's what you told you were supposed to do. But your heart is telling you something else. And so, you know, I feel like if you follow that, then you'll find a way to express the things that you're passionate about. And the thing that really kind of helped switch, you know, the way I view things and get myself in a kind of a healthier state of mind was I try to figure out what some of the modalities or the daily things that you could do to keep your mind healthy and keep that, you know, side of you alive. And you know, reading. I read 10 pages of a book, you know, every day. You know, journaling. Yeah. You know, writing. And it don't have to be no, you know, I mean, sappy, but open a pen and paper once a day and just write about what your day was, date it, log it, and not only you'll find yourself. Like so many times, bro, I was like, man, I don't want to do that. I want to write about that. But there was no. I had to do these 3 things. It didn't matter what it was. I was gonna do them, and I'd go to write, and the next thing you know, I'm just pouring everything out, bro. And then the other one was for me is meditating. So those are 3 things that really kind of sharpened the mind and really changed my perspective on life and who it was and just kind of gave me a greater outlook on myself and really kind of helped me pull out myself out of, you know, a dark place. And so, you know, the reading, you know, the writing, you're emptying the cup, and the reading, you're filling the cup. You know what I mean? And the meditating, you're learning how to be, you know, in the present moment. Yeah. And those things kind of help me find peace and motivation. And like I said earlier, being physically disciplined is a lot easier than the mental, because the mental and emotional is like you have to be aware of everything you're taking in, who you're around, the words that are being said, what you're watching, what you're listening to, you know what I mean? Because all that has an effect on who you're becoming. Yeah. And a lot of people's egos, they don't want to believe like, nobody else dictates who I am. Nobody's gonna, but you're wrong. Because everything dictates who you are. Yeah. You just have the opportunity to really kind of control your environment. Yeah. So, you know, that's the advice I would give, and that's something that I need to get back to, because like I said earlier, it's like I find myself self-sabotaging myself, and I'll make things harder when I don't have to, and it's just like, all right, now if I'm in a trench, it's like I gotta get back to, you know, my reading, my writing, and my meditating, and being close to God, because it's like so often it's like that's what he's doing. You know what I mean? He's eliminating, he's tearing down everything, dissolving everything around you, so you have to sit with yourself and be alone with him, and that's where you'll find him is through suffering, and that's where growth happens, is through suffering. And so learning to even have moments of appreciation of the hard shit. You know what I mean? It's like so many times it's like we'll say like, when it's all said and done, it's like this thing was a blessing. You know what I mean? Like really, this person ruining my life was a blessing, or this, you know, when it's all said and done, because if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't be who I am today. But we don't look at it that way when we're sitting in the shit. Yeah, while you're going through it. Yeah, we go through it. But learn to sit in the shit with peace and stoicism, and learn to learn from that situation, because if you don't learn and grow from the situation, then you're just going to end up repeating it consistently. There we go. And so,
thank you, man. Look at that. Sovereignty. That's the word. Well, this has been an amazing episode. Thank you again, Chase Sherman, for your time. And for you all, thank you for coming this time. Hopefully we catch you next time. Just don't let it be your last time. And we're out, brother.
Yeah. Thanks, man.